Coach, welcome. And, boy, that was a sure heartbreaker on Saturday night. I know you've had a lot of big wins. I know you've had some tough losses, but that one the other night may have ranked right up there with any loss you've ever had.
Well, it was tough to take because I thought the players put in a good effort. I thought we played well most of the game. I thought we played well all the way up on defense up until maybe 5 minutes left to go in the game, and we played well on offense up until about 2 minutes and 40 seconds left in the game. We still had a darn good chance to still win it with 2 minutes and 40 seconds left to go, but then we threw a couple interceptions, and it went to the other team, even though I thought we outplayed them.
Coach, on the interception, there was a run back for the go-ahead score by the young man from Oregon State, Steven Nelson. What was the play call, and what was the progression for your first-time starter, Quinn Kaler?
Well, it was a double screen. We had a jet screen or a wide receiver screen on one side and a flare screen on the other. His first read is the flare screen, which we had hit Adam Wema on earlier in the game and got about 10 or 12 yards. And then if the flare screen is taken away by somebody from the line of scrimmage peeling off on the flare, you come back to the jet screen on the backside. And so the flare screen, the second time we ran it, the flare screen, they peeled on the flare screen to take it away, and he came back to the jet screen, which was set up really nicely, and the ball sailed on him. If he'd have hit, it was Colin Lockett was the intended receiver. If he would have hit him on stride, there's a chance that we would have got anywhere from 10 to 15 to maybe even a touchdown because it was blocked so well. But the ball sailed on Quinn, and it overshot Colin, and they intercepted it and ran it back.
Let's talk a little bit about Quinn Kaler. He had played, 3+ quarters at Ohio State, got his first Division I college start the other night. And like most quarterbacks, some good, some bad. Your overall assessment of his performance in his first collegiate start at the D1 level?
Well, I thought he played really, really well up until the last two series. I mean, when we got the ball, we were ahead by 2, and he overthrew the jet screen, and they intercepted that and took a 4-point lead. We still had time. I think it was about 1 minute and 30 seconds left to go, maybe 1 minute and 40 left to go when we got back out there, and we had a chance to maybe drive it down and still win the game, and he tried to force it and make a play and threw another interception. But up until the last 2.5 minutes of the game, I thought he played really, really well.
We're visiting with head coach San Diego State, Rocky Long, joining us on the Western Exterminator Hotline. Coach, I know the offensive line, you'd been concerned about that. I know there were 5 sacks in the game the other night, but that offensive line, I thought, really worked their tail off.
Well, I thought they showed some improvement. I mean, there was a couple sacks that we should have gotten rid of the ball. Even if we had to throw it up in the stands, we should have got rid of the ball because he had enough time to find somebody. Nobody came open. He should have thrown it out of bounds. There was a couple times we got beat, and there was a couple times that they stacked the line of scrimmage, and it was hard for us to get the running game going. But we had a little bit of success running the ball, which opened up some really nice play-action passes where we got some big gains out of those. So they got better. They're not near what they need to be yet for us to win games, but they got better.
Adam Moema, who had been battling an ankle the first couple of games, his numbers weren't great the other night, 28 carries, 71 yards, and a touchdown. A very patient runner, and I thought ran extremely hard and really had to earn a lot of those yards after contact.
I thought he ran really hard, and there was a couple plays where we gave him a nice hole where you saw that he had the quickness to make somebody miss, and then he'd break some leg tackles. Guys would wrap their arms around him, and he'd come out of it. There were some of those, and then there were some where there was maybe not quite as big a hole that he didn't see quite well enough to hop up in there, and he tried to bounce him a little bit. And I think since it was his first full-speed action, I think he was a little bit rusty. Now, he looked 100% as far as quickness and speed goes, so I expect him to be much better this week.
Chase Price, ran the ball well, 3 times for 32 yards. I know he got banged up, and is he going to be with the ball club, you think, on Saturday down in Las Cruces?
Well, he has an AC sprain, and they're predicting 2 to 3 weeks before he'll be back, so he won't be with us this week, which means Pumphrey will get a few more reps, and Dwayne Garrett's got to carry the ball some.
Hey, tell us a little bit about DJ Pumphrey. I mean, he ran it the other night. He caught it the other night. And, boy, he really looks like he's got a little bit of explosion to his game.
Yeah, he's got a lot of quickness. I think he even ran a 10.500 meter in high school, so he can make you miss and he can outrun you. And I'll tell you what's surprising is when he runs it up in between the tackles. Now, he gets knocked around pretty good, but he doesn't shy. He runs it up in their full speeds. He's got a bright future, and I think we're using him well. I mean, we're trying to get him out in the open field where he can use that speed and quickness.
Hey, Coach, you had an unsportsmanlike call in that ball game that, backed you up. You guys get a turnover, you get an unsportsmanlike call, and, a possible touchdown ends up being a field goal. How do you approach your ball players? Do you get on them right there about an unsportsmanlike call, or you let the coordinator or position coach handle it?
Well, I don't get on them. Nobody gets on them right away because it's kind of an emotional deal, or otherwise they wouldn't have gotten this unsportsmanlike call. And as it goes, the second guy is always the one that gets caught. He got shoved to the ground, and he got up and shoved him in the face mask, and so he's the one that got caught. So you wait until he settles down a little bit emotionally, and then you explain to him that even though it was provoked, you can't retaliate. And I think you have to wait until they relax a little bit and get them under a calm situation for them to understand, because when they're so emotional, they don't understand anything but wanting to hit somebody.
Hey, how many football games have you been involved in where you've had 3 penalties on one play? I had never seen it until the other night.
I've been coaching a long time. That's the first time I've ever seen 3 penalties at once, and I agree. I don't agree with 2 of them. I agree with the pass interference. I think that was pass interference. I don't think it was roughing the passer, and you can't find the hand in the face mask by one of our blitzers supposedly put his hand in the face mask. That doesn't mean it didn't happen, but you can't see it on film.
You know, it's interesting. The penalties the other night, Oregon State, 13 penalties, 99 yards, and 11 of those were called in the first half, I believe. You guys got flagged 9 times for 87 yards. And I got a question because I saw yesterday, and I forget what the stat was, with I think the Jets. They had 19 penalties or something. I was talking to somebody in the press box on Saturday night, and I go, it seems like nowadays officials are looking to throw flags. Rather, in the old days, they really didn't want to have to throw the flags. But all these new rule changes, I think these referees feel like they're being scrutinized so heavily that they're throwing flags all the time now.
Well, I think what's happened is with the new rules for the protection of players, I think there's such an emphasis on it. I think it will settle down. But I think right now the officials are trying to go by the letter of the law. They're not using any discretion on some of the calls. I mean, we had 2 roughing the passer penalties that, in my opinion, aren't even close. I mean, they're not up by the head. They don't. In one of them, we wrap them around the waist. Interference is called a lot sooner than it used to be. A lot of things are being called under that we're protecting players, and I think that they'll settle down once they get used to the new rules.
Hey, Coach, a couple of things real quickly on Oregon State, and do want to ask you about New Mexico State. Sean Mannion, a big night the other night. We can talk about his yardage and his 3 touchdowns, but just evaluating a quarterback, to me, this guy, it looks like we're going to be seeing this guy down the road on Sundays.
I think that's obvious. We put a lot of pressure on him, and he threw several complete passes as he was getting hit or as he was getting ready to get hit and throwing off his back foot, and the ball was still on the money, and he hung in there. Now, we knocked him down and ran into him probably 12 to 14 times, and a couple times we hit him pretty good, and he just kept lining up and throwing it, and late in the game when it was critical, he put a lot of balls on the money when we did have pressure on him.
The wide receiver, the junior Brandon Cooks, had a big night, 14 catches, 141 yards, and, boy, he made some spectacular grabs for the Beavers the other night.
Yeah, he's an awful good player. I thought our guys did a pretty good job on most of the night. He's the one that fumbled it twice. Oh, I forgot. One of them called a fumble, but he fumbled it twice, and I think our guys beat him up pretty good, and I think it was a pretty good match.
Yeah, forward progress had stopped, they said, and that was I can say you can't. That was a baloney call. The conference can't find me. Hey, Coach, before I let you go, and you and I are going to get together on Wednesday night at Hooley's, and we'll be our final one on ESPN 1700. Then we'll be back over here on the Mighty 1090 a week from Wednesday. New Mexico State, I know they're 0-4. They got a new head coach. What do you expect out of the Aggies?
Well, they're playing hard, and they're moving the ball on everybody. They've really struggled on defense, trying to slow anybody else down. But they haven't scored a lot of points, but they've moved the ball using the pistol in a lot of situations and using the spread in long yardage or when they get behind. And so they're pretty good on offense. They've been struggling on defense, and hopefully we can play as hard as we did the other night and get a win.
Hey, Coach, I'll see you Wednesday night. Thanks for the time.
All right, Coach. Thank you.